In the middle of the primeval forest, where the ancient trees stretch high and touch the clouds, lives a wild fox with a red-orange fur that shines like the sunset. Every dawn, when the fox still covers the carpet of rotten leaves and the forest birds chirp to greet the new day, the fox quietly leaves its deep cave, its nose quickly sniffing the sweet air. With its keen sense of smell, it quietly walks through the bushes, searching for traces of field mice, small squirrels or small fish swimming in the stream, running through the old forest. One day, the rustling sound of leaves reveals a swarm of insects. The fox pounces on cicadas, chirps lightly, and enjoys each piece full of protein. At noon, the bright sunlight shines through the leaves. The fox finds the base of a low, ancient tree where a tiny beehive is hidden under the lush green canopy. It skillfully used its claws to drill into the tree bark, leaned its nose close to the nest to pick up each tiny bee that had fallen, and then licked the fragrant young honey. The sweet taste of the honey spread, making its heart beat with joy, its tongue tingling with the taste of nature. But in its heart, the fox wished for more, to conquer the giant beehive hanging between two branches of a large tree. For several days, it secretly watched the beehive from afar through the foliage, calculating each step of the climb, each point of its claws. Every time the beehive appeared in the morning mist, its eyes flashed with determination. Until one hot afternoon, when the air was as hot as fire, the fox decided to make his foolish dream come true. Its two front legs clung tightly to the rough tree trunk, its claws drilled into the bark, its small body trembling with excitement. Step by step, it climbed higher than ever, sweat beading on the back of its neck, its feathers fluttering in the gentle breeze. When he was only a few inches away from the nest, the fox stopped, took a deep breath, and prepared for the daring mission. Then in a flash, he pressed his jaw against the hole in the nest, licking up the first drops of honey that were flowing out golden yellow. The thick honey taste made his eyes close in pleasure, regardless of the height and danger. While he was intoxicated with the tingling sensation on the tip of his tongue, he accidentally touched the nest lightly, causing the entire nest to shake violently. The bees inside exploded in anger, buzzing around the fox in a chaotic cloud of bees. The fox screamed, each bee sting piercing his body, causing him to writhe in pain. In a panic, he jumped off the tree trunk into a large puddle at the base of the tree to avoid the bees. The murky puddle splashed all over his body, and mud stuck thickly to his fur, but at least it prevented the bees from continuing to sting. However, right at that moment, from behind him came the sound of heavy footsteps. Realizing the dire situation, Mr. David immediately broke off a large branch covered with lush green leaves. He threw his backpack to the ground and rushed into the puddle, skillfully waving the branches up and down continuously. Under the impact of the branches and leaves, a strong wind scattered the bees. The buzzing sound gradually subsided. The bees ran away, returning peace to the puddle. Mr. David bent down to carry the trembling fox onto the wet grass. On his shoulders were scattered pieces of muddy leaves, but he did not hesitate. He opened his backpack and took out a first aid kit. Warm towels, saline, pain relievers, anti-inflammatory drugs, and bandages. First, he gently wiped the mud off the fox's body with a warm towel, helping it to feel less cold. Then he disinfected the sting with saline, gently applied painkillers to the swollen areas. As the medicine took effect, the fox was half closed. Its breathing was wheezing, but gradually stabilized. Mr. David bandaged the wounds with clean gauze, carefully securing them so that the fox could move without further pain. The fox lay still in his arms, its eyes half closed but shining with gratitude. After first aid, he placed the increasingly stronger fox in a temporary cage in his backpack. The rescue team quickly put it in an old Jeep and returned to the rescue station with Mr. David. At the station, the veterinarian continued to give antibiotics and resuscitation injections, closely monitoring the fox's condition. After many days of care, the wound closed and new fur began to grow in patches. When the doctor confirmed that the fox was strong enough, they suggested that Mr. David temporarily raise it in a wooden hut in the forest to continue its recovery. Back at the hut, he set up a warm wooden cage by the porch, lined it with straw, and placed a bowl of food. Every morning, he made a cup of warm ginger tea, sat by the cage, and fed the fox shredded chicken and soaked oats. The fox was shy at first, but then eagerly licked every bite clean. After 2 weeks, it could stand on its own, running a few laps around the cage without shivering. One foggy morning, he opened the cage door, and the fox rushed out, stopping for a moment to thank him with its red-orange eyes. Mr. David smiled, stroked its soft fur, and said softly, "You're well again." In the following days, the fox occasionally stopped by the hut, approached him, and then turned its tail to say hello. Every time he met him, he gave it small gifts, ripe wild berries, honey-scented tree branches. The fox placed the gifts on the rock by the porch, as if to repay his kindness. Mr. David's reputation as a grateful fox spread throughout the reserve, attracting tourists and researchers. He often took them to the old bee tree to recount the dramatic rescue. In the late afternoon, he stood by the stream listening to the fox's soft calls, his heart filled with emotion. Many times the fox circled around his feet, as if inviting him into the forest to hunt for honey. That moment made him smile involuntarily. Nature always acknowledges kindness. When the dry season ended, the forest leaves turned yellow. The autumn sun dyed their colors. The fox appeared along the familiar trail. It stopped, glanced at him, then gently ran into the bushes, promising to meet again the next day. In the midst of the vast green forest, the sacred affection between Ranger David and the wild fox still echoed, proving the power of kindness. The fox, from a wild species that was very wary, gradually boldly approached Mr. David, believing that his gentle hand would not cause harm. Every time it met him, its eyes always shone with deep gratitude, a wordless thank you to the person who saved its life and healed its wounds. Mr. David not only rescued a small creature, but also persistently cared for it, monitored its health, and spent time listening to the low roar of the forest, something that always made the fox feel loved and safe. Even though it had returned to its natural environment, the fox still returned regularly, reminding that the love between humans and the wild can transcend all species boundaries. Dear friend, thank you for taking the time to follow the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support us.